Welcome to a brand new show, the Relationship Whisperer Show. I'm Miss Dragonfly, and I hope everyone has enjoyed their Christmas break and holiday. And looking forward to a brand new year, and we are kicking off with a brand new show. Now, for those that don't know, I am a relationship expert, author, and astrologer. I also have a YouTube channel under the name Miss Dragonfly, where I regularly post videos every week. And you can find me on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Rumble, and BigShoot. Now, why am I Miss Dragonfly? Well, the dragonfly can see in multiple different spectrums, far beyond that of the human eye can see. And so I can see different views and ways of looking at things. So, a bit of an analogy there that other relationship experts miss. And as we go along in the show, you are going to see how different mine is. Now, unlike the others, which tell you what to do, I actually work with human nature because only then it can last. I mean, look, someone can tell you what you need to do for things to work, but if that doesn't come naturally to you, if it's not second nature, then you're going to have to constantly remember to do it. Okay, which means sometimes you're going to forget to do it. And what happens if you forget to do it? Then you're going to have problems. So I look at how we can work with human nature. What would get you to naturally do it as part of a nature? And then if you constantly do it because it becomes second nature, then you're going to do it all the time. And that's how it can last. The thing is, well, a big thing is people know what they want, but they don't know what they need. It doesn't seem right, it doesn't sound right, but often that is the case. And just think about it from your point of view. Do you really think about what you need other than what you want? So I'm here to tell you what you need to know, not what you want to hear. So let me give you an overview of the show. As the name suggests, this is a relationship-based show, which covers mainly romantic, but also family relationships as well. And besides giving relationship advice, I'll also be discussing all the latest celebrity gossip, mainly their hookups and breakups. And because I'm an astrologer, we'll also be doing astrological chart readings on celebrities. And later on, I'll also be doing readings for our listeners, so stay tuned for that. And we'll go through the latest dating advice being given out there, being sprouted by the media, and I'll give my critique on whether or not I think they are correct or even helpful. Are they even a help? And we will also be having guests on the show talking about their experiences in relation to love and also their area of expertise. So that is a brief overview of the show and so give you an idea of what to expect. Now, a lot of people would wonder why, as an astrologer, I got into giving relationship advice and what relation or what does it have to do with each other, relationships and astrology. Well, I do Chinese astrology. I did that before. And as part of what I did or do is relationship compatibility analysis, which means I look at two different charts with regard from the partners and assess whether or not they are compatible. Yeah, and then I realized what I was essentially doing was assessing whether or not this personality type would match with that personality type. And then I had a light bulb moment, and I think, well, that's it. That's all in practice you really need. And so that's what led me to write my book, Your Complete Partner, How to Choose a Partner for Love and Marriage for a Lifetime. So that just so you know, this book has no astrology in it whatsoever. And it's for people who are serious about finding a permanent partner. So it's not a dating book or a book to show you instructions on how to pick up someone. There's plenty out there. And that's why this book is totally different from any other relationship book out there, as it firstly shows you a completely different way of looking at things. And secondly, it's for those that are really serious about looking for a partner. Now, in the market, there's either books telling you how to pick up partners, pick up dates, or tell you how to really try to improve your relationship and so forth. But really none that are really serious about getting you to have a permanent relationship, a life partner. And the ones that are out there at the moment that does do that tend to be religious based, and a lot more often than not a lot of Christian based, and so that actually puts a lot of people off. And however, my book, there is absolutely no religious element as well, and no astrology in it as well. So, really, if you're just after a bit of fun, then you're not going to need any of this advice. Seriously. Because then you're only going to need someone that's good looking and fun. That's it. Come on. Because it's only for fun that you're after. You don't have any intentions or even want to have anything serious or anything long term. And so you really don't need any advice. Really, then that's simple. Okay? And why did I write this book? Well, I wrote this book because I was seeing divorce rates being so high. I mean, like 50% in the Western world at the moment, which is incredibly high. And I was seeing men and women being separated and separating themselves from each other. I mean, you can see that at the moment with this whole MGTOW movement, from women pushing back against men, and men deciding they've had enough and don't want to have anything more to do with women. So they're part of the MGTOW movement, which is short, for those that don't know, for men going their own way, going off doing their own thing instead of wanting a relationship with women, because they've seen a lot of men being burnt, I guess probably more than once, and so they're shy. The old saying goes, once burnt, twice shy. So, and I guess a lot of men that have been through all that, and they're also giving advice to younger men. Say, look, I've been there, done that. It's not worth it. Okay. And other men to the younger men, and the younger men looking at everything this around and saying, they've got a point. But the thing is, it doesn't have to be that way, because at the moment, it's a tragic situation. And it's not good for society, humanity, and also individuals. Because really, one cannot live on bread alone. I mean, as humans, we need companionship and love. We do. I guess only the people, I guess, that are in the religious order give that up, but then they've also separated themselves from normal society and so forth because they're focused on something. And I guess that's a different story. But generally, as humans, look, we like love. We like to be loved and be cared for, and have someone love us. It's a human need. And so what I'm trying to do is bring men and women back together again. And men and women do deserve and should be together and belong together. And show them how you can have a happy marriage, how it doesn't have to be this disaster. And that's why I wrote the book, and that is why I'm also offering it for free. Yes, that's right. My whole book is available for download from my website, absolutely free. And so just go to my website, missdragonfly.com, and click on the ebook to purchase. And when you check out, it will be $0. I promise you. And for those that don't like to read or don't have the time to read, you can also download the audiobook version for a small fee, which is to cover the additional costs of producing the book. As you know, producing books do cost a lot more than doing an ebook. If you are serious about getting serious and after a life partner, then really you are going to need to read this book. as it was going to teach you how to choose the right partner and what and who to avoid. You see, that's been the problem. Who you choose as your life partner is arguably the most important decision you can make in life. Look, unlike people might think it's a career decision that you make that would impact your life the most, one of the life's most biggest decisions, but it's not. But just think about it. Career impacts your career and arguably your money. However, your life partner is going to affect where you live, your life direction, how much money you can make, how successful your career or business will be, your health, and overall happiness. Now, for those that have been through divorces, they would understand that thoroughly. They would probably be nodding and say, yep, it's been a disaster in every aspect of their life. I mean, it depends where you live. It depends on your partner as well. They've got to agree where you're both going to live. So what you're going to be doing, because they're going to be impacted and be tagged along, so to speak. I mean, if your job wanted to send you overseas for an overseas secondment as an expat, you have to think of your partner, whether or not your partner would agree to live in overseas or that particular country, and so forth, and what type of, and obviously, which leads to how much money you can make as well, or whether or not they're a contributor or they're just a burden, I guess, and you've got to work to support too, or whether or not they're going to be supporting and helping you as well. And of course, how successful your career or your business would be. I mean, are they going to be helping your career or your business, or they're going to be a hindrance? Or like some people complain about their partners, oh, you're working too many hours, or you spend all your time in your business or in your office and never at home. And so then problems arise. I mean, then you're going to have to cut back because your partner's unhappy. Or your partner said, oh, let you be, I'm going to help you as well. Well, be involved in the business or being supporting in your career and so forth. And whether or not you have a happy marriage, it also affects your health as well. Because depression or arguments or stress does affect your health, and it affects your health in lots of different ways, as we all know, okay, and can attest. But why, though, do so many of us keep making mistakes on something that has such a profound impact on our lives? And many of us are making those mistakes, as evident by that high divorce rates, 50% around now. Well, it's because we have not been taught how to choose our partners well, if at all. I mean, did our parents sit down with us and explain to us who we should be choosing and how to choose, what to look out for? Does school teach us? Does society? No. No one actually teaches people how to choose your partner, what you need to look for in a partner to be happy. Do they? Well, that's why I'm doing this. I'm stepping into this vacant role that society, and especially parents, should have done and should be doing. And that is to educate people on, firstly, what a marriage is, what it involves, and what partners' roles are in a marriage. And most importantly, how to choose the right partner for yourself. Okay? And it's surprising how many people don't actually know what they're supposed to do in a marriage and what their role is. Because if you do not know what your role in a marriage is, then you're not going to do it because you don't know, which leads to the marriage failing. Okay, I mean, it's just like in a ship to keep moving and operating. Everyone has their jobs in it to maintain and keep it going. And if people don't know what they're supposed to do, guess what? The ship sinks at the worst case scenario. Marriage is like that. Now, besides knowing what a marriage is all about, I'm going to advise on how to select partners. Now, this is absolutely crucial, especially during the dating stage. People need to know what are the red and green flags are and what do they mean? I mean, what are red and green flags? I mean, what to their actions? Because really, you have to judge people by their actions, not by their words. I mean, everyone in the beginning especially is very sweet and behaves themselves and says the right things, sort of things, but unconsciously behavior seeps out and it comes out. There's certain unconscious behavior people do. They don't think about it. And so those are the things that you can pick up on. Okay. And what to look for. What, if they've done this, what does that mean? Okay. What can you tell about them yourselves? And then with that knowledge, would you be comfortable with that? Can you live with that type of person, those type of qualities of your date? So in that way, then you don't have to spend possibly years getting to know each other, so to speak. Only in the end find out, you're not compatible, you don't like certain things, and then you've just wasted not only time, those few years, but also your emotional investment in that relationship. And not just your emotional investment, I guess then you have heartache, you have to split up and so forth. It puts you all in a very pickle situation that's a pickle, so to speak. And that's also a problem as to whether or not a marriage is successful is if you've matched up with the right person in the first place. You see, this one decision alone would determine whether or not the marriage is successful, because you cannot change someone. And please, you should not try to change someone either, as is actually cruel to try to do so, because then they can't be themselves. They can't express, look, in terms of animal rights and animal lovers would say, they need to be able to express natural behavior. It's just like forcing chickens into cages is cruel because they can't express natural behavior. Putting animals in zoos is artificial, is forcing something that's not natural to them. Well, why wouldn't it be the same with humans? If you're saying, it would be so much better if you would do such and such, or if you weren't so such and such. All right, better for who? Better for you, but not necessarily your partner, because that's denying them, that's not wanting them to be who they are. And no, seriously, if you're not right for someone, doesn't mean you're bad. Or the other person may not be right for you, but they could be the perfect partner for someone else. There is someone for everyone out there. Okay, it's just a matter of matching it correctly, matching person to person correctly as a partner. How does astrology come into all this? How does astrology help you with relationships? Well, astrology is a very powerful tool to use when trying to choose the right partner. And astrology readings, for people that don't know, are different from psychic readings. Psychic readings are based on the natural ability of the psychic, with the natural born ability of the psychic to feel the energies and images and readings they get from the person seeking the reading. Okay, and it's normally the here and the now that they can feel. An astrology reading, on the other hand, is based on your actual date of birth and time of birth. And then with that information, a chart gets generated, and the astrology reader reads from the chart, and interprets the chart. Now, there are many different forms of astrology. And the main types known are the Indian Vedic astrology, which little about it is known outside of India, and especially in the West. And the most widely known is, of course, Western astrology in the West, and also the somewhat known Chinese astrology. I mean, most people would be aware, especially around the lunar Chinese New Year, where you hear on the news, oh, this is the year of whatever. We're welcoming in the Lunar New Year. This is now the year of the rabbit or dragon, which is next year, and so forth. So people, how you do have some sort of knowledge about it, some sort of understanding, or at least aware of it. And a lot of people also know their Chinese astrology animal zodiac sign as well. And so, which one should we be using? Well, each has its own strengths and merits. However, for partner selection and partner relationship compatibility analysis, Chinese astrology should be the one that you're using. You see, back in the old days in China, when a boy liked a girl, he would let his parents know, because back then, and to an extent still now, the parents are the ones that make the arrangements and the inquiries. So his parents would then make discreet inquiries and get the girl's date of birth. And then with that, they would go to the local astrologer to check whether or not this was going to be at least not a bad match. Because, they couldn't really wait around for the best match to come along, because everyone had to be married by a certain age. But on the other hand, divorce back then really wasn't an option. It's not something that was done. Society didn't like it, and it's not something that's done. I mean, even in the West, just think back of even 100 years ago, was divorce really a thing? I mean, society back then frowned on it, and there were a lot of stigma surrounding getting divorced, if you could get a divorce back then, and surrounding the person that got divorced. So there you go. Now, also, different astrology methods show up different things, just like different tools. So a good analogy would be like, there are some things that Western astrology are better at, and some things Chinese astrology are better at. So a good analogy would be, just think of X-rays and MRI scans. Now, X-rays show up bone. It does not show up soft tissue. So no matter how good that X-ray machine is and how good the operator is, they're never going to be able to see soft tissue. And MRIs are good at showing up soft tissue, but don't do so well showing up bones. Yeah? So just think of it of that sort of thing. So just think of Western astrology is like X-rays, and Chinese astrology is like MRI scans. They both look at different things and specialize in different things. So not especially one's better than the other, but you have different uses for each one. Now, Western astrology is excellent with describing personality, but I find that it's not so good when it comes to predictions. That's been my personal experience of it. And it doesn't matter, like I say, like the X-ray, it doesn't matter how good the reader is either. It cannot see something that it was not designed to. It cannot read something that type of methodology wasn't designed to pick up. Okay? And a big thing is, remember that astrology developed in accordance with the needs and focus of the cultures. Now, Chinese culture has always been about striving to achieve success in life, which usually meant monetary success in life. So those career-driven really should be using Chinese astrology, as it does that very, very well. And also, unlike a lot of misconceptions in the West regarding feng shui as well, you would see books and people talk about feng shui, trying to achieve harmony and so forth. That's all very nice and well. It sounds sweet and stuff. Yes, it does that to an extent, but its true purpose and what it's normally being used for in the authentic terms, the authentic method, the original methods, is money. and success. That's why a lot of feng shui houses that are bad, a lot of bad feng shui houses, the thing it affects a lot of the time is money. Okay, you say families, I've seen people that have moved into bad feng shui houses and then their money drops straight away. And if the bad feng shui affects something else as well, more often than that they affects health of the occupants. And there are certain houses that are particular feng shui, we call them like divorce houses. It seems like every family that's moved into that house ends up getting divorced. You couldn't really, there are things that you can do to fix it, but I'm not going to be talking about feng shui today. It's be astrology. We would have a feng shui expert as a guest, and he will be talking a lot more about that. Now, regarding relationships and astrology, and you see, other people affect you due to the interactions of their chart and yours. And the closer they are to you, the more it has an effect on you. And so the marriage partner, your marriage spouse will have the most impact on you because they're constantly with you. I mean, look, you might have friends that you get along very well, and even if their chart is really good for your chart, you only see them once every so often. And so the effect is not that much as well. I mean, even we say with work people you work with, yes, you do have an interaction and your charts do interact, but it's only regarding work. Only the time at work and only regarding work. And look, even if you've taken on a business partner with someone, yes, your charts are quite mesh regarding business. So interactions, though, are limited to really business and your business area, not the other parts of your life. However, the person you marry, firstly, you're going to spend all your time with them or your life with them. Your life is intertwined with them. What you do affects them. What they do affects you. Yes? And so also because of that, it has to be the marriage partner that's the most, not just a girlfriend or boyfriend or even de facto relationships. I know there's been a lot of people in de facto relationships that say, look, it's just a piece of paper. It doesn't mean anything. We love each other and so forth. So yes, they do spend all their time. You do spend a lot of time together. Well, you're living together as well. And in effect, you are sharing your life. But it's not quite as entwined as a marriage because, yes, it might be literally a piece of paper, but it is a legal declaration, and 2, it is a societal declaration that you are committed to each other. So it's a social commitment as well. And so that has the most effect. So keep that in mind. And partners can affect every facet of your life, really. Your health, your career, monetary success, and also interaction with your families as well. Are they happy to interact with your family? Are you happy to interact with theirs? And how do you get along with each other's families, with your in-laws? And I know a lot of people would agree that, or a lot of people do have issues with their in-laws, and that creates some discontent and some sort of disputes and aggro and so forth. And then also you may have heard about couples where either or both partners die soon after their wedding, honeymoon, or even on the wedding day. So then clearly they are so toxic for each other that this has happened. And so in that respect, yes, the charts might be so bad for each other to that toxic level without its death. And so in that instance, would advise, no, you stay friends. You're not right for each other. It's not good for either of you to be married, or at least one of the partners to be married. And it's not just about getting along, as there are going to be people that would boost you up. And you're going to be more successful with them, not just in life, but your career and whatever, than being alone, slugging it out alone. I know the MGTOW men would be would disagree with that, but I have to tell them there are people that will boost you up and you're better off with them than on your own. And then some others have no effect whatsoever. They don't boost you up, but they don't bring you down either. However, there are some people that would actually pull you down. And then in that case, you are going to be better off without them. And you can see this with astrology. It will show this up. And but how does it work? Okay. How does it work? How can they boost you up or pull you down or have no effect? Well, just say if you've got an issue with your chart that's holding you back in certain areas of your life, you might be able to work really well to your career up to a certain point, and then you can't go up any further, and then or lose your job, and then you have to go to another company, start again. Or any business that you do, great, but then you keep losing the business for one reason or another, or you can't quite crack it up in the big time. Usually there's an issue in their chart that's holding you back. And how do we fix this? Okay, in certain extent, you can help with feng shui. But a partner with the right features in their chart that would be able to resolve this issue that you have in your own chart would then boost you up. You're there, basically the shackles have been cut, and then you can rise, as you no longer have that to hold you back. And so that type of person, you should be grabbing onto, hey, let's marry, because they're extremely good for you. And in those type of cases, you're better off with them than on your own, than with anyone else, or even on your own. And others have no effect at all, as their chart has actually a neutral effect on you. I mean, they don't resolve your issue that you have on your chart, but they don't make it worse either. And they don't, really affect any other of your charts. So in that sort of scenario, that instance, then they have no effect. Okay, you can be with them, but no effect. You might as well be on your own. It's different. Yeah, you do have the companionship, and that's different. That's something else. Now, though, the worst possible case is one that actually pulls you down. So elements in their chart, not only it doesn't help you, it doesn't fix the issue you have, but it may actually exacerbate your issue, the situation, or magnify that issue that is holding you back. And so in that way, they pull you down. So that is something that we all try to avoid. And I guess if I was doing a reading on that, I would be advising people don't. And when I do a reading, I say it as it is. I have to be blunt, and you need the information, and you need it delivered to you bluntly so you know and can make an informed decision. So this is where I differ from a lot of other Western astrologers, is they tend to sugarcoat things, mainly because of the methodology that they use. You can't really do anything about it. Whereas with the Chinese astrology, we do have tools to assist you to overcome things. And so that's why we don't have any qualms about telling you as it is at all. Okay, so yes, it's just like saying you go to a doctor and you have an examination. Look, some people say, read my chart. If there's an issue, I don't want to know about it. Don't tell me. But that's like you going to a doctor and saying, doctor, give me an examination. But if you find something wrong, don't tell me about it. Okay, I don't want to hear bad news. But look, you need to know if there's something wrong. I mean, it's great if it's all great news. There's no issue, but if there's something wrong, you need to know so you can go and address it and fix it so it doesn't become more of a problem and get worse. Or if you can able to fix it, then you yourself have been able to be unshackled and you can rise up and be more successful in life. And that's what we all want. Now, people you mix with or interact with, as I said before, they will have an effect, but not as strong, nowhere near as strong as your spouse is, as you're bound together and your lives are intertwined. So this is why it's very important to get a reading done, especially before you marry, as the results of marriage can be fantastic or disastrous. Yeah, the disastrous we hear a lot about, and we can see it clearly, the divorce rates. The fantastic ones are the ones you hear about that have had golden anniversaries for so many years, and then we're all envious and think, I want that too. And when we marry, we all hope that we'll have that, or at least we all expect that we would have that. Enjoy many golden years together, and many happy years together. And so that is why I'm here, what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to give out information, trying to teach people, because all the advice at the moment that's been giving out doesn't work. It doesn't, and I say it doesn't work because the divorce rates are so high. People keep hearing, and we keep hearing the same things over and over again. So what I am teaching is a totally different way of looking at things, left field, and the astrology is going to assist you in making the final determination, or even be when you're, if you want to be thorough, in the beginning dating stage, so you haven't invested too much time into the relationship, or time and money, and emotions as well. Find out, and then if it's not good, then you can quickly move on. And that's why very important to get a relationship analysis reading. It's something that you really should do when you're getting married, before you get married, I should say, or when you're in a relationship, before you pop the question, very important, or even in the dating stage. Okay, and look, people may lie about themselves, but they cannot lie with astrology, as it's going to show up everything according to their date of birth. Now, people do tend to lie. Look, when you're dating, I guess people who will be putting out the best foot forward. And depending on who is more invested in the relationship and who wants it more, they would be putting more of the effort into it, which relates to, I did a YouTube video that's up, and where I answer the basic question of why do women change after marriage? You hear about it so often. It happens so often. Why? And I guess it was Einstein that said, men marry women hoping they won't change, but they do. Men marry women hoping they will change, but they don't. Inevitably, both are disappointed, as a lot of people find out. And it's basically comes out, look, women are naturally more intuitive than men, so they get a feel whether or not their relationship is working out, if they themselves, or what it needs for it to actually work, because they want the relationship more. And so they'll change first to be what the relationship and their partner needs. Okay, and I guess, look, and if behavior is not natural to you, you can only keep it up for a certain amount of time. It gets very tiring doing it for so long, because at the end of the day, we need to be ourselves in order to be happy. So I guess they put on this false facade for it to work, and I guess after they've married, I think, mission accomplished. I've gotten there. I can go back to being themselves again, because it's very tiring. I mean, I don't know if this was the case, but from the looks of it, it was the case of the very famous Australian billionaire, James Packer. He lived with Erica Baxter, who was a model, for 10 years before he married her. And the marriage lasted 6 years. So there was 3 children in quick succession. And then after 6 years, after the 3 kids, there was the marriage was done. So the marriage itself did not last as long as the de facto relationship did. So what does that tell you? I mean, they had all those 10 years to find out about each other and each other's wants, needs, and so forth. But then the marriage still didn't last. I guess, but if she was keeping up the facade, she did it very well for 10 years. That's a long time to keep it up. And that's also, but you know what? What's the incentive for you to do something? It all comes back to human nature and the incentive. If the incentive is big enough, people would put their effort in. People would give it their all. And I think, well, if you're talking about a few billions of dollars, well, you're going to put in a lot of effort, even if it takes 10 years. So in that case. So people can lie, but with astrology, they can't, as I say. Look, they cannot even give a false date of birth. I mean, they can give you a false date of birth for the reading, the match, but they're going to have no idea what type of chart this fake date of birth will generate and whether or not it's going to be compatible with you. Because if they did, they would be an astrologer anyway. Okay? So that's why people can't lie. Yes, lots of men, especially MGTOW men, complain like, look, they were nice to begin with, and then I was practically lied to. They were not the person they were. They were turned really nasty. Well, this way, if these MGTOW men had got a reading in the beginning, they would have been able to avoid that. Okay, and like the rest of us, we can avoid the bad matches through this checking with the reading, and they cannot lie. Then when I do a reading, though, because of that, I will only speak to the partner that's requested the reading, not both of them. In that way, I can speak freely and frankly, and the partner or the person that's requested the reading can feel free to ask whatever questions and concern that they've got. Okay, and then it will be up to them whether or not they want to tell their partner, either the good or the bad news. So then they can make the decision. Otherwise, there's no point in having both of them, and then you're kind of like ahhing and not try to upset anyone and try to skirt the issue and so forth. Because imagining if you turned up with your partner because they insisted on a reading, and the reader said, yeah, you're no good for him or he's no good for her, that sort of thing. It's be a very awkward situation. So that's the one rule I have. Okay, and it's also, I want to help people. That's also why I offer the consultations on astrology compatibility analysis. Again, like I'll say it before and I'll say it again, this is basically a must before you decide to get married, as you need to get it right, because so much of your life is riding on this one decision, as many people can unfortunately attest to after they've had a disastrous one. So you can book a reading on my website, missdragonfly.com. And it's not just for love, but also for career and life direction as well. It can tell you when you're likely to have relationships, what your chances are as well. And some people have many chances of getting relationships. So it's still on relationships. And unfortunately, other people have very few. That's why you can probably hear of people that haven't met anyone, or it's very difficult for them to meet, or they had very few relationships. And I think the most famous one was probably Suzanne Boyle. Remember, she went on, I think, Britain's Got Talent show, and people were laughing at her, making fun of her because of the way she looked. She looked quite dumpy. And then she got famous, and she admitted she's never been kissed. I think she was in her 50s, and she's never been kissed. So that's very, very, it does happen to people where others you hear, they keep having one relationship after another. And they're not necessarily wealthy as well, because I know money and wealth is a natural magnet to getting partners, but not necessarily wealthy people. And never seem to be single and so forth. So those are things that are reflected in the charts, and we can tell that. But And we can tell when they are likely to happen. Like a lot of people, when they do reading, we ask a reading and they're asking about relationships and love. One of the most common questions is, when am I going to find someone? When am I going to meet someone? So that would turn up. And now, some people have what we call appropriate and inappropriate spouses. There are times that the chart will show up, the time when you meet someone and you're likely to have it be, that person might be a spouse, but if you marry them, then they're going to be an inappropriate spouse. So what do we mean by inappropriate spouse? Where inappropriate spouse means you get along, no question about it, you get along very well, but the marriage is not going to work. There's going to be issues in one way or another. So it's not really, like I'm saying, a true marriage kind of thing. And there are other times when other periods in your chart where you've met someone, and if you marry someone during that time, the person that you meet that person becomes an appropriate spouse. So that's the person you should really be marrying. And however, it's best when you come across in the appropriate spouse after the inappropriate spouse. However, there are some instances where you come across the appropriate spouse first before the inappropriate. And those are the types of situations where you should not leave the appropriate for the inappropriate. No matter how much better looking or how much wealthier that partner you've met later on is than you're compared to your present partner. Because that marriage is not going to work, simply because it's going to be an inappropriate spouse. So please do not leave an appropriate spouse for an inappropriate one, even though you might be so attracted. Behave yourself, I tell people during that time. Okay? And not only that, the chart can tell you how long relationships are likely to last as well. So you want one that you would be lasting the rest of our life. I mean, that's why we make the commitment. We all hope that it will be and turn out to be a lifelong commitment and a lifelong marriage. They're like the ones that have golden anniversaries. A lot of us are jealous and envious of people that found that. They're saying, and then, they even die around the same time too, and die while holding hands. And it's just so sweet. And a lot of people are jealous of that. And so how can I have that? And also, it can tell you when in your chart challenges are likely to come up as well. Like clashes on the spouse palace usually means trouble. Okay, I mean, you may not, a lot of people say, no, I've got free will. Something in the stars is not going to control me. But you'll be surprised how often it happens. Some days you and sometimes you don't. You do things that, why did I do that? So forth. That's not like me. And so those are the things that can happen during a clash with your house or spouse. You have more arguments, you get on each other's nerves, and so forth. And in those instances, when there's tension, then arguments happen very easily. Very easy trigger for arguments, and you get really snappy at each other. You do. Okay? So that's also why you might hear of couples that have been happily married for 30 years, and then they get divorced. And it shocks everyone. I say, no, they seem so happy. Why? What happened? And guess even the partners themselves can't really explain. Is it, we decided we're very different, want to take different paths in our lives or so forth and that. And those types of instances happen is usually because they come across a clash. Okay. So a clash on their house or spouse, and then the marriage just falls apart. And so that's it. Because of that, sometimes someone is not good for you until after a certain period. After the clash period is over, then you meet them, and then you marry them after that, and then there's no more clashes that you face. And then it's kind of like smooth sailing after that. So in those type of circumstances, I would advise people to hold off until after a certain period if you want to marry. So you can avoid having to deal with this clash and possibly wrecking your marriage, which is great. Your charts say if you have a great marriage, if unless you come across this clash. So best to wait until after the clash, then get together. And then you have a marriage with a golden anniversary. And that's what we all want, I'm sure. Now, and there's also some people that need to marry. Some shouldn't, and some should, and some shouldn't at all. So you see, some people's charts, they might not be locked down. They're all over the place. They don't have a focus or so forth. And so if they're married and they're with the right partner that has the particular features in their chart, they'll be able to lock them into a pattern, have a focus on what they really want to do as well. So, and what comes naturally would come naturally to them. But I guess if you don't have a focus, then you're more aligned to it doesn't really matter, but at least they lock you down on something. That's besides being able to fix an issue in your chart if you have one. So those people, so type of people that are good for you. If they're able to fix an issue in your chart, then you get unshackled. Or if you don't have a pattern or focus, they're able to lock you into one. Okay, and stabilize you, so to speak, when we interpret into real life situation. And so those are the people that should marry. And like I say, and some should, it would help their charts if they did, and so forth. And some, I mean, they're good enough on their own, but they'll be even better if they had a partner with this type of feature in their chart. They'll rock it up. And some shouldn't at all. Having a partner would box them in. So those are the people. I'll be frank and advise, no, you should not marry. It's better that you do stay single and have dates every now and then for companionship. Okay. And some people actually do need a specific person because of that. So there are good and bad people. Not actually good and bad as in they're bad people, but good and bad for you. So forth. So besides whether or not a relationship, it can say an astrology reading can show whether or not you're going to be good for each other. It can tell you when you love it, when you're going to meet someone, if you should marry, what type of person you need to marry, what your clashes are, and when you're likely to meet the appropriate partner, so to speak. And that's when you should be getting serious. You should get serious with the person you meet during that time. Okay? Now, life direction is another area that Chinese astrology does very well. And as a reflection of Chinese culture, isn't afraid to say it as it is. And there is no political correctness. Otherwise, information is going to be useless. Look, we keep hearing politically correct views, and we ourselves say it as well in order to not offend anyone and fit into society. However, in our heart of hearts, they're not true. We just say it because we need to. Now, Chinese astrology is also the best to be used for career and life success. And how can we do this, and what's meant by life direction? Well, there are times, if you look back in your life, there are times when you seem to do really well and times when it's been terrible. And those times, if you remember things that you did well, things just tend to go your way. I mean, if you were doing really well at your work, maybe it could be someone's just left and had that position vacant, and then you were able to step in easily, so you progress your career easily. Or you might have you might be doing a business, and then you got this referral and that referral, and so all the work just kept coming in. You didn't do anything different, but it just tends to be better. And there are times when things seem to just go against you no matter what you do. Now, though, what if, and looking back at all that, you can see those times and you wish if only I'd known beforehand. that would have been, I would have done this and this differently. What if you were able to know prior? What if you had the information prior that you know when it's going to be, when going to be your good times and when your bad times? When are things going to be going your way and going against you? You know, that would be so much of an advantage. So just think, if you knew when the tide, if you were a sailor, there was old-fashioned sailor, you knew what the tides were, the forecast, then you would be timing to go with the flow, to be sailing during that time instead of when it's stormy weather. Because no matter how good a sailor you are, you're not going to get very far if it's really bad conditions. I mean, you'll be able to keep the boat upright, but not so good. And it's so important though, and it's such a help knowing all that beforehand. And so Chinese astrology can tell you when those times will occur. And you can plan accordingly. And it's so much easier to swim with the tide than against. I guess think about it. No matter how good a swimmer you are, you're not going to be able to swim far against the tide. Just think about it though. If things are going your way, you can plan so that you'd either make the career move, change careers, make a career move, or start a new business. Or if you're already in business, expand, add extra products, or do this and this. Because you're in a strong period, things go your way, you're likely to be able to pull it off. So that's when you can afford to take risks. However, if you are in a weak period where things, are going to tend to go against you, then that is the time when you need to be hunkering down. Keep the status quo. Keep doing the job that you are. Do not change jobs or anything. Do not start a business or do not expand. Just keep doing what you're doing. And that is to give as little chance as possible for anything to go wrong. Because what can go wrong will go wrong, tend to go wrong during a weak period. And so this is very powerful knowledge. I mean, so powerful, in fact. I'll tell you, in the old days, ancient assassins use it. So when they get the job, okay, and first thing they'll do is obtain the date of birth of the target. And then they'll bring up the chart, and either they'll study it or get it studied, and then they'll zero in on when the target is at their weakest and most vulnerable in order to increase their chance of success. Because if the target is at a strong phase, in a strong time, things go their way and the assassin is unlikely to be able to do the job, to make the kill. Because things just happen, you might try to take the shot and just as about to shoot, a bird might fly and knock his hand away. That's all to protect the target because they're in the strong period. So in the weak period, things go against the target. They can be successful in their assassination. Ominous, but that's how powerful this information is. And this is also the reason why I think politicians, especially the ones in Asia, because they know, don't reveal their real dates of birth. I mean, they would have an official date of birth and their real one they would guard jealously. Because it's not just assassination threats that they face, it's also political cues that they might face, challenges, and political maneuvering by the other party, the opposing party, or whatever. You're very vulnerable when others know when you're weak, when you're going to be weak. And it doesn't have to be anything nefarious as well, like someone trying to kill you or you're trying to kill someone. But if you knew someone was due for a bad year, would you give them important work to do? Knowing that things are going to be going against them, and so they might not be able to do the job that you've given them or do it properly. So that is another thing. And that's also, like I was saying, a tool that employees can use as well. So it's very diverse tools, can be used in lots of applications. And also, it can tell you whether or not some people would be better doing a business and others should stick to a professional career, climbing the corporate ladder, so to speak, or do a trade, which is also semi-business, but it can be an employee as a trade. And it can also determine that. I mean, it can show you what careers you are better suited to, so you can have a better chance of success in it if it's going to be easier for you. And this is commonly done by parents of school leavers in Hong Kong. So after school, the parents will book and pay thousands of dollars to see the top astrologer there and take their child there and get a reading that will help them decide which career their child should pursue. That will give them the best chance of success. So, you don't want to spend years in a career only to end up knowing that it's not suitable for you. And we've got lots of students at the moment that's just finished school and thinking about their career choices at the moment now, and would have a lot of them, though, many would have no idea what career to pursue. And the parents are usually not much help either. So this is the perfect time to get a reading for school leavers or anyone else deciding which career they should pursue, which career would favor them, which career would be easier for them. Because remember, it's far harder to run up the hill than straight or even downhill. You see, because it doesn't mean that you can't get there, but like running uphill, takes a lot more effort and it take you longer to get there. What we've tried to find is the career where you can ideally run downhill, run with the wind. It helps you. It's easy. You get there with a lot less effort and a lot quicker, and that's what we all want. Now, as I said before, astrology can be a very powerful tool when it comes to achieving success in life, and not just career success, even doing business. As some people, it benefits them to take on partners, and some people should not at all. It doesn't. It's detrimental. It doesn't. The chart doesn't gel well with a partner. Yeah, as well. And as I say, some partners, if you take them on in business, that can be beneficial for it, and some partners are toxic. Some people are just toxic to your chart. You should not take them on as a business partner. It's just the way it is. No matter how many resources they've got or skills they've got available, it's just that something is going to happen that when you work with them in that business, that's not going to be pleasant, as I say. So those are the instances as well. And like I say, you can book a reading with me on my website, missdragonfly.com. And you specify which area that you particularly want to know or address. But the main thing is that I do is relationships, as this is particularly a relationship show. And with the readings now, to just give you a demonstration of how the reading works, I've got a client that has asked me to do a reading. We'll call the client Bob, and we'll call his partner Jane. Now, Bob is embarking on a very big business. It has wide-reaching implications, and it can go, possibly make him a billionaire as well. So we're talking about that business, that bigger business. Now, at the moment, he was having problems with his girlfriend. He said they normally get on very well, and he even sees her as some form of like a soulmate sort of thing. But at the moment, they're having issues in their relationship. So they're asking me, can you have a look? What's happened? How can we overcome this? Why is this the case, so to speak? And I'm looking at their charts, and I can see that they have a lot of combinations in their charts. That's why they get along so well together. And that's why also he feels that she's his soulmate. And they're quite a young couple as well. He's in his 30s, late 30s, and she is in her 20s. Okay, also quite a big age difference. Now, why are they having problems? From looking at their chart, or looking at her chart, Jane's chart, she has 3 roosters. Her 3 pillars are rooster. 3 out of 4 is roosters. Now, what clashes with the rooster? The rabbit. What year are we in? We are in, 2023. That's the issue. And it still is 2023 until a few weeks' time. It's the rabbit. And he said they didn't have problems until this year. It's a clash. So it's clashed all 3 of her roosters. So basically, every part of her life is being affected. The only one that is not a rooster is basically the outside, the year which represents the outside. So it's not her that's affected herself personally. It's only her that's affected personally, not how she interacts with others, which is what the year pillar would represent. And so I am not surprised they're having difficulty, because one of it is actually the spouse palace. Okay, so the spouse palace itself, or the house of spouse, is getting clashed with. And normally when that happens, couples go through difficult periods, and that's also times when divorces and separations are likely to happen, because that's an issue. But not only just house of spouse, but other areas, every other area in her life as well. So I'll be surprised if she hasn't gone nuts, so to speak. And she would not know why as well herself. Know why she's gone that way. And I'm looking at him though, if they were able to get, normally you say, look, if you're able to get through this period this year, then next year the clash is gone, and then you should not have that problem anymore. So the next year is the year of the dragon. So then that's combining with her. The dragon actually combines with her rooster, which is going to be good then. You think they should have a harmonious relationship. However, next year's a dragon, it clashes with his spouse palace, his house of spouse. So he's going to feel it next year. So he's going to have problems with her next year, relationships next year as well. And even if it's not her, even if they break up and he finds someone else next year, it's not going to work out either. So he should be laying low next year in regards to the love front. Now, looking at her, I'm looking at why, they have a lot of combinations. That's why they like each other. But also she's in this period, what we call a luck cycle, period that she's going through. That actually gives him the missing piece of the puzzle. I guess that's why he really likes her at this time. So he's got 3 out of the 4. At the moment, she's giving him the 4th piece. And that is actually what we call the Empress chart. So be very successful with her. This is the type when we say you need to be together, but particularly if she has it in her own chart. So she's got the missing piece to what he would make him very successful. So he's doing pretty well at the moment with her. But look, the thing is, she's in that phase at the moment, but she's going through a lot of issues because of that clash at the moment. And then after next year he goes into clashes with his spouse palace. And then the year after that, there's no clashes from their spouse palaces. So things should be going back to normal. However, after that, after 2025, she goes out of that cycle that benefits him. So then his feelings for her is going to change anyway. And looking at this, they actually change each other's chart to something that they're not. Like, he would make her more dominant. He makes her more dominant, and she in turn turns him into a what? At the moment, he wants power. At the moment, power is what is going to give him wealth. That's what works for him. But she's, with her combining with him, is going to turn him into, force him into following money. Well, in this sense, it doesn't mean that following money means you get money. But it's not in his nature. That's not what he naturally wants. So she's making him be something that's contrary to his nature by being with her, and he's turning into something that she's not normally. So in that respect, not quite a normal, what to say, not a good combination. I mean, look, they'll be great friends, but they should not marry each other. They should not be a couple. Unfortunately, these are the instances where I say, look, you're not good for each other. It's best you find other people. Someone else would be a better match for you. Someone else that's not going to affect your chart in that way to make you into something that you're not. And also with him, later on, after in his late 40s, he's going to go through that period himself where he gets his missing piece. So he's going to be the emperor on his own, so to speak, in his late 40s. The piece that she's been giving him while he's with her at the moment, he's going to get it himself. So then he doesn't need anyone in that phase. But but like I say, he can be more successful with the right partner in his chart and then on his own. So that's how just a brief overview of how we look at charts and how frank we would be, well, how frank I am about it, because I want people to succeed. No, and some people think that it's bad to give advice and advise them, otherwise then they don't get married. But for my way of thinking, people need to know, and you need to tell them so they can avoid the bad marriages. And it's all about prevention as well. Look, always prevention better than cure. You know, you can have heart problems and then the cardiologist tries to fix it with surgery and so forth. But wouldn't it be much better if before that you prevented the having a heart disease? You know, so think of me as like the dietitian rather than the cardiologist. So always try to prevent the bad relationships. And like the cardiologist advises you on the lifestyle and what diet you need to take in order to prevent heart disease, I'm giving people advice on how you can choose the right partner to prevent problems later on. Because unfortunately, well, people can say that you can go to counseling. And the reason why counseling doesn't work is people leave it until too late to go to counseling. However, the success rates of counseling is very small. And why is it so small? Is because, look, the counselor will tell you what you need to do to rectify the situation, the both parties need to do, and that's all fine and well, and they've diagnosed the situation. But if what they've told you need to do isn't second nature to you, it's not something you naturally do, you have to keep on remembering, then you're not going to be able to keep it up to do that. And and the relationship will only last as long as you're able to keep it up and keep doing it. But as humans, as people, we're only humans. And so there's going to be times when we forget. It's not something we're going to forget. And when we forget, then it falls apart. That's why the success rate is so low with counseling. So just think of that, the counselor as like the cardiologist doing the surgery, and it's like a bit of a patch up, might get them through, but you're never quite the same as having a healthy heart to begin with. So it's like, but then in that case, the dietitian is the better option that you should be going for in the beginning, so that you can eat well and prevent heart disease. So in my respect, I'm like the dietitian. I go in the beginning, advising people how to choose the right partner to begin with. So you get along just by being yourself. Isn't it great, to be loved for who you are and what you are and your natural qualities? You get along because you get along like that and you are yourself all the time, then you're always going to get along. It's always going to work. Okay? And at the end of the day, really, we can only ever be happy if we're able to be ourselves. We have to be honest. You can say, try to be more. Sometimes people go, they even at dating stage, they have problems. look, I'll try to be more such and such. I'll try to be more involved in this or that. Or one of the things is I'll convert to your religion if you need to. Now, I really look down, I really frown on that. I don't think people should convert because, look, you are the person that you are because of your background, because of your beliefs. It shaped who you are. So I personally feel that it's quite insulting for your partner to want you to change your religion, because by changing that, then you've changed yourself. You're no longer, no longer be the person that you fell in love with, that you love. Why do you want me to change? Because, and I believe, yes, religion does affect the way you think as well. Obviously, it does. And then you think differently, then you won't be that same person that your partner fell in love with in the first place. And they wanted you to change. Why do that? And they're saying, I think have pride in what you are. You're good enough. You are good as you are. Don't feel that you are not good enough. You have to be something that you're not to prove to prove yourself or be, try to. This is one thing where I think I disagree with a feminist and saying we're not being bound by your gender or so forth. Hey, we can do what men can do and so forth. But by saying that, you're denigrating your own sex. I mean, aren't you, being a woman, good enough? Why do you have to be like a man? Like you yourself are only valuing the qualities of a man. And you think those are the ones that are important. Okay. I mean, be yourself and have some self-pride. Pride of what you are. And it comes down to as well self-respect. And if you respect yourself, you make yourself so much more, I should say it, more attractive to your partner and more attractive to potential dates and people. You exude that a confidence out into the world. They're confident in your own skin. You have pride in what you are. I mean, if you met someone like that, that was that proud, that'd be attractive, wouldn't it? So, confidence in you are. Go out when you go out and date, and if and to make sure you've got the right partner, like I suggest getting a reading. You can book a reading with me personally on my website, missdragonfly.com, for whether or not it be relationships, wanting a relationship compatibility analysis, or want to check when you're likely to meet someone, as most of us that are people that are single want to know, and what type of career regarding students that you should be pursuing. What's better for you? When your strong times and weak times are, so you can plan. And for business people, if you're employing people or you're thinking about taking on a partner, as someone's presented you with a very good proposal of how they want it, how it's great to come together and be partners and work on this business together. Best to check out first, because generally when you're doing business, you're putting out a lot of money out. You're really on the line that you're risking, and not only financially at risk, you're liable to lose financially, but also a lot of stress and heartache as well, and a lot of your time. So you want it right. You want to, if you're taking on a partner, want it to be the right partner, and also want to know when the good times are, when your strong times are, to launch or grow, because then you're likely to pull things off. You've got a lot on the line. I admire people for going out and trying their hand at business. It takes a lot of courage to do that. And for people that do that, they deserve to get the best possible chance. And to do that, you also need the reading. The reading will give you that help or that foresight. So again, if you'd like to, if you like a reading, then book one on my website, missdragonfly.com, and we would send through your details and do the reading, and we schedule a time to get the feedback back. And that is it for my first show. I hope you've enjoyed it. the Relationship Whisperer show with Miss Dragonfly. It's my first, and obviously this is going to be the longest show. The first and the longest, because there's a lot of things I had to introduce to give people a background on what's happening, and also what the show is about. So we'll see you again, same time next week. And in the meantime, you can check out my website. You can check me out on YouTube. I post videos every week on my YouTube channel, missdragonfly.com. I'm also available on Facebook, Instagram, BitChute, Rumble, and also TikTok at the moment. So you can check me out on all those social media platforms and follow me so to get continual information when I put out about relationships and different way of looking at things.